More flowers. You know, my house is like a graveyard with flowers.
Like someone
Oh,
died.
you know what? I didn't get a birthday cake this year.
Oh, there you go.
Because I've been on keto and everyone was scared to give me a birthday cake. Thank you, guys.
Welcome to House of Influence. I'm Charlotte Day, and today I am joined by the man who ran the party scene back in the 80s. His inner circle includes Boy George, Kate Moss and Donatella, former Wild Child and It Boy with one hell of a sense of humour. Just check out his Instagram page. It is the one and only DJ FatTony. Hey.
Thanks. You made me sound really old in the 80s. It's like there's a lot's happened since the 80s and 2020.
A lot has happened and we're going to cover all of that. But welcome, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
If you are not familiar with Tony, he first found fame in the 80s as a club kid and DJ who quickly became the only name you needed to know. You've DJed for Prince, Michael Jackson, did a world tour with Madonna, and you are the fashion crowd's favourite DJ. But you never wanted to be a DJ, yet you managed to turn 4 records into a 12-hour set. So how did you do that?
Turn the 4 records into 4 hours?
How did you get into DJ?
Because, basically, I was working on the door of a club for Steve Strange, who was like quite a prominent person in London clubland in the 80s. They were opening a new Saturday night club. I was 16, and I remember going up to them and saying, "Look, you're opening a new night. I'm going to open one on the same night." 16, and it was like and I remember Rusty Egan, who was Steve's partner, said, "Okay, well, instead of you doing that, why don't you come and work for us?" So I got a job working on their door, and I was the picker, and basically used to let everyone in, and it was at the Lyceum in the Strand where Lion King is now. So it's a big place.
Yeah.
And every week I would just be like, "Oh, everyone's leaving because the music's rubbish," and they weren't. I just said it for something to say. And Rusty one week was like, "Well, if you think you can do better, why don't you do it?" So off I trotted next week with 4 records, and kind of played both sides for probably 3 times, and that was it. And then within a month, I had my own night at a club called the WAG Club on a Tuesday, and within 2 months, I was DJing at a residency in the Palladium in New York. So it kind of just really happened really quickly.
And did you always have a love for music when you were a kid?
Well, I come from a background. My grandmother always taught classical piano, and my mum and dad played records every Sunday morning. So we would wake up and there would be music in our house. And my older brother was really into like soul music and like lovers rock and stuff. So I grew up listening to kind of from Elvis to lovers rock. Yeah. And I've always loved music. It's the one thing that has the ability to just transport me anywhere I want to go by closing my eyes.
Yeah, it can take you to anywhere. If you've had a loss as well, it can sort of bring back.
I always refer to it as a kind of time machine, because whatever track you play, you can close your eyes and that person's who's no longer with us is that suddenly in the room.
Yeah.
And it can transport you to really happy times. It can also take you to such sad times. And it's I always refer to it as the most powerful drug there is, and that's music. It's the greatest drug.
So Clubland, as I like to call it, is different now, even compared to back when I used to do the door like 8-9 years ago.
Yeah.
The 80s, it must have been like a completely different world. Is it fair to say that it was perhaps a little bit more creative back then?
Oh, it was a totally different world, because we lived in a world without social media. So the clubs were in one area of London, which was the West End, which was like Soho, and there was every club was based on like 2 or 3 of those streets, and that was it. So everybody knew each other, and going out clubbing was like going on Facebook. Everyone knew you knew each other, and it was a really creative time. But in order to be heard and to be seen, you had to do something. You had to give yourself a platform. Yeah. So everybody had their own platforms, because that was the only way that you moved forward. Today it's all in your hand, but back then it was about who you knew and how you knew them and what you were going to do with them.
And a little bit more living in the moment.
It really was. There was no getting your phone out to take a photo. There was none of that stuff. It was really you know, there'd be one photographer in the club that everyone wanted their photo taken by. And that was kind of it. Everyone just got on with it and was there for the music primarily. And then, it, you know, as things progressed, it went on to other things. But, you know, it was a really creative time. It was probably one of the best times.
Yeah. At 18, you were smashing it. At literally 18 years old, it's so young, and flying Concorde to New York.
Yeah.
Were clubs, as you said, it was your social media. So do you feel that being around that scene was what got you to flying high, I guess?
100%. You know, it was because I was such a loudmouth, little annoying little 16-year-old that it propelled me into that world. You know, I grew up with my friend George, as in Boy George, and all of those other creatives that are now kind of running the fashion industry.
Yeah.
You know, from Edward Emmenfold right the way through. You know, over the course of these years, everyone met through clubs. And, you know, yeah, I mean, I was flying on Concorde to go and DJ in New York, and I didn't even know how to mix. Do you know what I mean? It literally was a case of, okay, they're from London, we need to get him, everyone's talking about him. You know, I made sure everyone would talk about me. Either I would upset them, or I would, you know, I made sure my name was on everyone's lips.
Either way, good or bad,
yeah,
they
always.
were talking about you.
Of course.
Do you have a specific crowd or a destination which is your favourite and goes above anybody else?
No, I don't. You know, people always go, oh, what's the best club you've ever been to, or the best party? And yeah, I always say it hasn't happened yet, because there's been so many amazing venues and parties and stuff along my journey, and that I couldn't sort of narrow it down to say, okay, these are my people, because my job as a DJ is to walk into a room of people I've never met before, whether it be 100 to 2,000 or even more than that, 20,000. And it's to make those people dance.
Yeah.
It's to read those people. And that's my job, it's to read a crowd. So I can walk into any club, and if I read it right, I have the best time. Do you know what I mean? And those people, suddenly, that 2,000 people on that dance floor become my people. They become my crowd. That's my job.
Dare I say, have you ever read the crowd wrong?
Oh, loads of times, of course. You know, learning. I'd be a liar if I said no. But you know what? I'd say in the early days, I didn't even read. Do you get what I mean? And it was about, you know, in this journey that I'm on, it's about learning my skills of my craft. And now I'd say I'm 99% right always.
Yeah.
And that's because it's taken me like a lifetime to learn that skill.
And 99% always right, only in music or in everything?
Oh no, only in music. Never in everything. I'd love to say I'm right in everything, but that's wrong in itself. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, so I've got some photos,
Yeah,
and I'd
sure.
like you to tell me what was going on in these photos. Okay, so this is the first one.
Oh my God, where'd you get that from?
My secret stash.
So I know what I'm wearing in that one. I'm actually, so that is, this guy in this picture is one of my first boyfriends.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and he went on to be the head of Deutsche Bank.
Oh, wow.
And he's now straight with 3 kids. And I think, I don't know where that would have been taken, but
How old were you roughly, do you think?
I was about 19, 20 there.
19,
but he was
20.
like one of my first long-term boyfriends.
Okay.
There you go, just doubted you.
Okay, now swipe to the next one.
Swipe to
We've
the
got a
Are we
few.
swiping to the left or to the right?
Oh, I don't know.
We'll keep that one. Okay, so this one was at London's first house club called Jungle, and it was on Monday night. It was at Busby's in Charing Cross Road.
Okay.
And I was the DJ. This is one of my second residencies after my thing on the Tuesday. I taught my way into this job as well. And there was another DJ at the time called Colin Favour, who was a master of his skills. Yeah. It was at the top of his game, especially when it comes to house music. And he was the other DJ, and I come along and tried and literally just
Move it.
Yeah, literally. And we never got on.
Oh, really?
No, he really looked down his nose at me because, you know, his skill was mixing and everything else, and I just come along and put records on.
And he's like, who is this guy?
Yeah, he was like, oh my God, you know. Yeah, I think that picture's from ID magazine.
Okay.
Oh my God, look at the face on it.
So was this before you had gone to New York, or is it sort of
This
in
is
between?
this is just after.
Just after?
Yeah, this is just after. So yeah.
Good memories?
Yeah, major.
Yeah.
Like seriously, amazing. This is back in the day when you would go out Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, Thursday night, and London was really buzzing. You know, there was such a scene. You know, you go to Heaven on a Wednesday night and there would be over 2,000 people there.
Yeah.
You know, you'd go out on a Monday night and there was like all the clubs were buzzing because
Yeah.
that's the way it was then. It's not like that anymore. You know,
Yeah.
you're lucky if you can get out on a Saturday. At the moment, we can't go anywhere. But you know, in general,
Yeah.
you're lucky if a Saturday night or a
Yeah.
Friday night is full anymore.
But even 8-9 years ago, you used to have Tuesdays, Thursdays, Fridays,
Yeah.
Saturdays, maybe even an event on a Sunday.
Yeah.
And you don't have that now. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's sad, but you know what? I really do believe out of this pandemic and this crisis that we're all in at the moment, and the fact that we've had our wings clipped as such
Yeah.
for our industry, something really amazing will grow from it.
I believe so. as
Because
well.
it's you know, it's nature. Things grow, they become really big, Printworks and all of these mega massive clubs, and then they die, and then something really beautiful grows and really underground and small.
Yeah.
And I've been around a very long time on that cycle.
Yeah.
And I've seen things grow, and I've seen things die, and I've seen people, oh my God, I'm never going out again. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was the best days ever. And you know, every generation has its moment of, oh, things are not the same anymore. And thank God they're not the same anymore. How boring would that be?
Exactly.
But you know, and I think this is one of those times.
It's a roller coaster.
I really do, and I think that a lot. It's a very let's cut the wheat from the chaff
Yeah.
time.
So I've got another photo. Our phone's just locked. Let's...
That was a picture of you and some boy. What was
Yeah,
that?
my boyfriend.
Oh, okay. So I don't remember that. Have I slept with him? Yeah, go on. Okay, so that was. Yeah, I remember that is a year after I first got sober.
Okay.
That would have been in 2008. And I'm with George, and we were at the club at the top of Centre Point. It used to be a club up there. Century.
Okay.
Not Century, no, it's called, what was it called? It was at the top of Centre Point, and it went round, right the way round. And I remember that night, because I remember wearing that tuxedo, yeah.
Good night.
Every night's a good night, do you know what I mean?
Okay, move on to the next one.
Oh, me and the N-word, me and Naomi. Yeah, that was a gig we did for Pierre Jouet in Wardour Street, and they basically flew Naomi in and me to DJ for an hour.
Just an hour.
Yeah, well, she did an hour. I did too, you know. But yeah, that was like because I'd been previous to this. I'd been DJing with Kate, as
Yes.
in Kate Moss, and we were doing a thing called Fat Moss. And whatever Kate does, Naomi wants to do the same.
Oh,
So that
really?
kind of,
Okay.
like, that's how that came about.
Okay, that's funny because the next photo is actually of you and Kate.
Oh, that's the first gig we ever did together, and that was at Annabelle's, and that was for Annabelle's light bulb book launch for their 50th birthday.
Okay.
And it was me, Kate, and Grace Jones. That was the
That's
lineup.
a good night.
Yeah, Grace came on. Grace was amazing. Yeah. Oh.
It's like taking you back through all the memories.
But it's good because I remember good things, and all of these pictures are good things. So
Yeah,
that's a good thing.
that's nice. Well,
Is that all your pictures?
That's the pictures.
Could have done a bit more research.
Ah, you cheeky sod.
Should we go back to that picture of you and your boyfriend?
Okay, so one of the last parties that you DJ'd before lockdown was Brooklyn Beckham's 21st.
Brooklyn, yeah.
Held at the Beckham's Countryside home. You're very close to the whole family, is that right?
Yeah, well, I've worked with them on and off for years. I've watched Brooklyn grow up. You know, they're amazing people. You know, they get a lot of stick.
I was going to say.
Because anyone, you know, this is the nature of the game. You know, you build them up. We love them. We can't wait to destroy them. Yeah. And that's the great British public. That's what we do. We've always done it, especially in the media. Yeah. We know that. So, you know, they can never do right for doing wrong, you know. But, you know, they, as a family, all I would say is that they're brilliant. The way they brought their kids up, their kids are impeccable manners. They're not brash in any way, shape or form. And, You know, yesterday it was my birthday and I got messages from all of them separately, which was incredible, you know. And that's loving. That's lovely.
Yeah, it's good heart.
It is, it really is, and that's all I can say about them, really.
So do you think that parties will be like that again, or do you think that we sort of need to adapt and find a new normal? You touched on this a minute ago about how it's sort of, you know, roller coaster and something new will grow, but in terms of partying, do you think it will ever be the same?
Well, I think, you know, it depends what you're calling partying. If you're calling going to a club with 3,000 people and getting hot and sweaty, I don't see that happening for a very long time.
Yeah.
But if you're talking about a personal birthday party, or you're talking about an event, I see that happening. It's just things are changing, you know. Everyone's like, yeah, we've got this miracle vaccines. What, 30 of them all of a sudden. But you know, what's going to happen is who's taking the vaccine, how that's not going to be taken, who doesn't want to do it, blah, blah, blah. We've got all of that to go through yet.
Yeah.
On top of Brexit as well, you know.
Don't even mention
We're
Brexit.
even allowed to travel anymore to Europe after the 1st of January. But you know, the party, you know, we will always party, you know. It's about how we do it. We have to be responsible for where we're at right now. And all of us play a part in this. You know, it's terrible that my industry and everybody else's industry, from being a roadie right the way through to playing a guitar on stage, has been stopped. But you know what? It's kind of like we all have to look at our part in it. And yeah, I've been asked to do loads of illegal raves. I've been asked to do this and do that. I turn them down.
Yeah.
I will do stuff that we got a new night called Social Disc going, and it's all about social distancing. And it's all, and we're compliant with government rules, because I can't go off and do illegal raves like I did in the 80s. I've done that, been there, but I also saw how it ended. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? It never ended nicely. You know, so many other factors got brought into that. Because when you're doing stuff that's unlicensed, or you're doing stuff that is unruly, and I'm not saying all raves are unruly, but what I'm saying is when there are no rules, people make up their own rules.
Yeah, it gets a bit wild.
Well, what happens is, you know, it gets criminalised really quickly.
Yeah.
And I kind of think, you know, moving forward, we just need to, if all of us look after our own inners of our own hula hoop, I think everyone will be just fine. And
you mentioned your what you started, the social disco.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a bit more about that? The next event is in the beginning of December.
Yeah, so we're doing them throughout the whole of December on Saturdays, 2 a day, one brunch and one dinner. And what it is you come, you sit down, you're completely temperature checked on the door, and then you're track and traced on the computers. You're taken to your table, and you're in your bubble of six, and we have singers. I DJ, which can be annoying because I have to DJ sometimes on 3 floors, because people come, they want to see you,
right?
And because you could only get a certain amount on each floor because it's so I spend the whole day DJing, like floor to floor to floor.
Down, yeah.
But you know what? It's great because everybody gets to see you, and just the fact that people at first, people want you to get up and dance, but people have got their heads around the fact that if they sit down and they enjoy it, they're going to have more fun.
Yeah.
Than being told to sit down.
Sit down, you know, you just get frustrated.
And it really is good fun, you know. I've never believed, my job is to make people dance. And right now my job is to make people move their shoulders.
Dance.
Yeah, you know, it's a tough one.
Yeah. It's a lot of fun, and I think it's what people need at the moment. You know, you shared a meme on your Instagram the other day that was just like my Christmas list, a fucking rave.
Yeah.
And so many people shared it, and I just thought that is exactly what we want. And if this is the
really
closest thing we can get,
well, you know, what it is it's the start. It's a start, and I think people have gratitude for being out and being in a social environment, that knowing that it's a safe environment.
Yeah.
You know, knowing full well that everybody there's been tested on the way in, like temperature checked and stuff like that. It's about keeping it safe, and I love what I do, and I love what I do. I'm blessed that I can still do what I do, even though it means sitting down. Right now, I'm doing a gig, since lockdown started. I'm DJing in a meat and fish shop in Westbourne Grove, which is insane. It sounds like the most odd gig.
I mean, if someone said that to you 2 years ago, a year ago, you
would
have laughed.
You know, the thing about it is, the guy who owns it rang me and was like, listen, we want to do the most absurd thing ever. And everyone's like saying, oh, get Tony. So I was like, you know what, let's do it.
Do it,
And I mean, we get 2,500 people queuing up throughout the day to come in, shop, take pictures, dance in the shop, go out. And last week it turned into like a street rave. Everyone was hanging out. And then when I finished at 6:30, I left the shop and the whole street started screaming and clapping.
No.
Yeah, because what we're doing is just bringing that element of joy to people's lives.
Yeah.
They want to hear music.
We need that joy.
We do. And however you find it, and who would have thought DJing in a high-end supermarket? It's not. People could go, "Oh, you're DJing in a fish and chip shop." It's not a fish and chip shop.
You're like, shut up, it's
You know,
more than that.
Trust me, you know. I mean, they give me tips of caviar as a tip. You know, come on, it's not
Ooh.
exactly fish and chip shop. But the thing about it is just the fact that the joy on people's faces. Because I did the first one and I said, you know, he said, "Oh, will you do it for the rest of the lockdown?" And I said, you know what, I will, I loved it. I got such
That's
a
so
good
good.
feeling from it, of people bringing their kids in and their kids dancing, as, you know, as much as they, and it's in a shop.
It's a joy for you to see, surely.
Where there's a will, there's a play. That's the
Yeah.
way I look at it. And, you know, people have been like, some people have really got it and gone, "Oh my God, this is genius." Some people who haven't been down there to see
what
it have been
is
like,
going on?
"Oh my God, you're DJing in a shop." And it's like, you know what? You're not DJing, so
Yeah,
shut up.
yeah.
You're sitting at home doing live feeds to 6 people. You know what I mean? Kiss my
Exactly.
ass.
Put them back in their place.
Kiss my ass. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so during lockdown, you decided to start a YouTube channel, a YouTube
Yeah.
series about addiction. Do you find that the more honest you are, the more acceptable it becomes?
100%. You know, I've got friends that always say to me, "Oh, you tell too many people too much." And I'm like, you know what? I don't tell them enough. I think that my honesty and the way that I am about my past and where I've been and what I went through and the trauma that I been through and that I caused myself, and I'm more honest about that. People will relate. People identify. People, you know, if it's all shits and giggles, you know, people don't identify with that. When you get honest and you tell someone your truth, straight away they relate to it. So straight away they open up to it.
Yeah.
And what we found with this series is that we've had people that have suffered trauma with menopause, with mental health, with so many different things. It's not only about drink and drug.
Yeah,
It's
it's
not about
relatable.
recovery. It's recovery from so many different things on so
Yeah.
many different levels. And you know, people just don't discuss that. They don't open up about it. People have a real shame stigma around
Yeah.
mental health. And for someone to come on, the guests that we've had, to sit there and talk openly about, like Sadie Frost talked about her own mental health. And you know, people see what they want. People see you in magazines or they see stuff. They take little snippets from it and they think, "Oh, that person's really arrogant."
feel like they know you.
Well, what they do is they misjudge you on your shyness could become across as arrogance.
Right.
So what we do with the recovery is we talk about that misjudgment
Yeah.
and we open it up and if the more honest you are, the less you can be judged. There is nothing to judge someone on because they've already said it. Do you get what I mean?
No,
I think
I
it's
think-
a really, honesty is like, you know, the more honest you are about what you're going through and what you've been through it's the first step for your own recovery.
I think it's truly commendable how honest you are about everything, and I think you can see just in the comments on every video how much people appreciate the honesty.
I think, you know, I'm blessed in the sense that I work a 12-step program, I go to 12-step fellowships, and I have a room that I can go to every day and I can discuss what's going on with me with 40 other people in the same boat as me, all different walks of life, all have the same thing in common, addiction. And what we can do is in that room is we get the identification that we need, and that other people, you know, you'll tell your story and people are like, "Oh my God, I do that, I'm not alone." And straight away, when someone realizes they're not on this on their own, that's it, that's the magic of it.
Yeah.
So what we wanted to do with the recovery was bring that to everybody, you know, without making, you know, not everybody thinks that they're an addict, or not everybody thinks that they're suffering with mental health. But when they hear it out of someone else's mouth, they suddenly think, "Oh my God, I do that. Oh my God," you know. And that's
Yeah.
that little spark of
Little spark,
identification
yeah.
can stop them from making it into a major drama or a catastrophe further down the line.
No, absolutely. You have spoken previously about Freddie Mercury giving you your first line of
Hate
cocaine.
this story, yeah.
But how do you react and what do you say to people who either watch you talk about the story online or hear it from you and they think, "Oh, that is so cool"?
Well, it wasn't cool because I hated it. That night, I did it because I was so drunk, and they were like, someone else said, "Oh, do this and it'll wake you up." And I was like, okay, fine, and I did it. And it took me about another year before I even ever did another line. It wasn't something that I was like, okay, I'm going to do this from this moment on.
Yeah.
Do you get what I mean? And yeah, the story sounds really cool, but it wasn't cool. It was like a situation that happened that I happened to talk about one time, and now it's turned into like the whole glamorous. You know, when we did the Mix Mag documentary last year, or the beginning of this year actually, February, and in it I said I'd spent over £1 million on drugs. And then they took that one line, I've spent £1 million on drugs, and made it sound like I was boasting. And then I get all these idiots like saying, oh, you think you're so flash, but, and it's like, you know what, no, this isn't a story about that, it's a story about redemption.
Yeah.
The fact that, you know, if I had that money now, there's no way I would have spent it on that, you know.
Yeah. They've taken that tiny bit. It's
they
like
always
what you were saying
do
before.
that, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
You know, however honest you are, someone will read it how they want to read it.
No, of course. And if they're going to think that, there's really nothing you can do to change their mind.
There isn't.
They'll message you and ask you, but they don't really care what you have to say in response.
And I mean, and to say to anyone that wants to go into that situation, there are no Freddie Mercurys in this day and age. We don't have stars like that around anymore, really. The ones that we do are kind of so locked away in their own little castles, especially during this pandemic. You know, it's kind of good luck finding one.
Yeah. You were called the Pied Piper, that king of the party.
It's so naff, isn't it? It's so naff.
But when did it turn from fun to spiralling out of control and drugs being the sort of your chemical scaffolding that was holding you up?
Yeah, it kind of, you know, I used and abused drugs for 28 years. The point of use to abuse is that point when it turns nasty.
Yeah.
So if you're using drugs and you're partying and all that stuff and it's great fun and that's fun, it's when you start to abuse something that's when it no longer becomes fun, but it becomes life. And I'd say that kind of happened, that kind of kicked in about 12 years in.
Really?
And then, and then the other 16 years were kind of survival.
Yeah.
And it wasn't nice. Don't get me wrong, I had some amazing times and so much fun at points. But it was when everyone else went home that the fun stopped, and I was the one left on my own, trying to kill myself. And
wow. Okay.
you know, it took me to such dark places that, you know, that all I ever thought about was death every day, and about my own funeral and all of that stuff. It wasn't a party, and I'd say that kind of happened 12 years in, because I started really young. So you know, but by the time I was 27, I knew I had a problem.
Really?
A major problem. Yeah.
And then it was how long after?
I got clean at 41.
Okay. And what was the moment, maybe you remember, maybe you don't, I'm not sure, of where you go, I need to do something?
There were so many of them.
Oh,
usually
really?
on a Tuesday morning. Usually on a Tuesday morning when I'd been kicked out of my house, or I was sleeping on a park bench because my partner wouldn't allow me in the house. That would always be that moment where I think, I can't do this anymore.
Really?
And I can't do this anymore. And I'd pray, most unreligious person ever. I'd be like, dear God, please let me stop this. Let him let me back in the house.
Yeah.
And I'd do the whole, babe, I'm never going to do this again. I'm going to get help. Help never come.
Yeah.
Help never come, because help couldn't come until I wanted to help myself, and that was so far gone. And what happened was, towards it was just in December, I do believe, and I was in the Cross in King's Cross, and my partner at the time, who had his own demons, but you know, he for a year and a half he'd been coming to the clubs that I worked in and trying to get me thrown out. He would throw glasses, would fight with me, and say to all the promoters and people, look, you're going to find him dead on your toilet floor. Is this what you want? You need to bar him from working here. You need to stop work late. And what he was trying to do was save my life, but all I could see it was as an obstacle. He was trying to ruin my fun.
Yeah.
You know, so I'd be like, bar him. You know, he's the problem.
Oh,
and
wow.
you know, but you know, I was really good at lighting loads of little fires to hide the bonfire in the middle, which was me.
Okay.
There was so much smoke going on that as an addict, we are the most manipulative people on this planet.
Right.
Seriously, you know, and I was a master of manipulation, and I would manipulate the people around me to believe in what I'd say to them. You know, I would tell someone my dad died, and they would believe it, and then 6 months later I'd tell him he died again, and I would make them believe the fact that he died twice.
Wow.
because that's what I could do. You know, that as an addict, you know, we are masters of it, you know. And so towards the end, you know, it literally got to the point where everyone thought I was all right, but I was so bad. And he said that night, he came in the club, and I remember I was sitting rocking backwards and forwards, and it was, at this point, I'd pulled all my teeth out with screwdrivers and sticks and pliers. I had a thing called meth mouth, where my mouth was, I actually believed that my mouth had animals living in the gums.
And can you remember all of this?
Oh yeah, I remember it all. And I would sit rocking backwards and forwards. And on that night in question, it was a Friday night, and he came in, and I saw him out the corner of my eye, and I thought, oh no, I can't deal with this. But he'd been barred from that club, and I still don't know why I got in there that night. But he'd been barred for so long, and he came in the green room, and I was like, no, I can't deal with you, man. Yeah. And he come over, and there was none, look at the state of you, like, where have you been for 3 days? He literally put his hand on my shoulder and said to me, what happened to you? And it always makes me want to cry, because that was it. It was that God-given moment that changed my life. He shouldn't have been there, and he should never have asked me that question. And I remember looking at him, and I don't know if any of you have ever smoked really bad hash, and like where you got to the point where you smoked so much of it that you put your head on the wall and the whole room was rushing towards you. That's kind of the feeling that I got. It was kind of like my life. It sounds really dramatic, but it felt like my whole life had just come to that point, and I just thought, I've got to get out of there. And I left the club, and I remember being outside to cross by Bagley's crying, and we went home. And then on the Monday I went to my GP, and I said, look, I've been suicidal for so long. I tried to kill myself so many times, and I need help. And then he engaged me into a program with a drug drop-in centre, but that wasn't enough. I still was using. I couldn't get to the point where I thought, what are you going to do if you can't do drugs? How are you going to DJ? How are you going to, what's the point of you even living if you can't do drugs?
Yeah,
because drugs controlled everything we did. We weren't these kind of people that thought, okay, we'll put that away for a holiday. Or, you know, when my dog got ill, people go, he's not got pet insurance. I'm like, I'm a fucking junkie. I'm going to swear, I'm a fucking junkie. How am I going to have pet insurance? Do you get what I mean? It's like, that's like 3 grams of coke. Like, that's going to happen.
The last thing on my mind.
But, you know, it was like, that's how we measured our lives. And, you know, to change that was so scary, because I just thought, I can't do it. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to be seen to try and change it, so that everyone will leave me alone. And everyone will be like, oh, you know what? Good old Tony, he's changed. So what I did was I changed dealers. Because, you know, everyone in London at that point, when you find the best dealer, right, everyone goes to that, you get them all to go to that dealer, so that way that dealer gives you loads of free drugs for bringing loads of new customers.
You got it sus.
Oh, listen. And so I stopped seeing that dealer, and I found another dealer, and I was seeing him, and so everyone would go to the other dealer, and they'd say, have you seen Tony? No, he's got clean. Win-win situation. But what I was doing was going to meetings with my friend Bruce at the time was taking me to meetings, and I had no teeth. And sitting gurning coke off my nut in the corner of the room was a dead giveaway. And I'd go home, and my boyfriend, who was semi-believing what I was doing but knew I was still doing drugs, would make me things like spaghetti carbonara with pancetta in it, and like being coked up trying to eat spaghetti carbonara is not a good place to be. I'd be like that, yeah, it's delicious, like trying to chew pancetta with one tooth. It was awful. But you know what happened was, like, slowly over a matter of time, faking it to making it worked. Okay. And then I went away to treatment for 6 months.
People always say fake it till you make it.
It really is a fact, you know, because what's happening is you will hear a situation, or you will identify with something. Because what happened for me was I couldn't get it. I couldn't get it at all for like 3 months. And I remember I went to a meeting of a 12-step fellowship meeting, and I sat in that room, and there was this big black lady sitting in the chair. She was about to do her story, and I was like, and I looked at her handbag, and I thought, moody handbag, you know, fake handbag. Look at her. Like, I was the king of taking everyone else's inventory apart from my own. Okay. And I kind of worked the room, and I thought I'd stay 5 minutes and I'll go, because people would say, oh, we saw Tony at the meeting. Yeah. And off I trot. And she opened her mouth, and it was my story. Really? And it blew me away, and I left that meeting at the end, cried, and within a week I went to Bournemouth to treatment for 6 months.
That's
and
amazing.
that really was, that was it. It was that, I just had to hear her story. And that's what I think with what we do on the recovery is that by letting those stories and those people tell their stories, people will get that identification that I got. That changed my life.
And you mentioned earlier that you were scared about being sober and DJing.
Yeah.
How did you find the first time you DJed sober?
It was hellish because I was so in self. All I could think about was what people were thinking of me. And I'd done it really publicly. I'd come out of treatment and then I'd written these diaries about my everyday, what I did in treatment. And we published them in this magazine called QX, and they published them over the course of 3 weeks. And so for me, it was like no going back. But I'd made such a fucking fuss about I was clean that there was no going back from it. And then, of course, what happened was that it got bigger and bigger. The place it was getting bigger was in my head. And I went to DJ the first night. We had a welcome back FatTony party.
It's a lot of pressure.
Oh,
though.
seriously. You live and learn. You have to learn these things.
Sure.
So, of course, I put all this on and then I literally ran out of there. Played one record and left.
Really?
I couldn't do it. But it was like learning to walk again. You have to learn to trust yourself again. You have to learn to believe in yourself. You have to have hope, and from hope comes belief, and from belief comes a hell of a lot more. And as soon as you start to believe in yourself, then you can start to believe in what you do. And you know what? I kind of took it back to basics. I took it back to the primary of, I love music. I love music, and I loved what music can do to you. And I always say, as I said before in this, music is the best drug in the world. It will take you to places that no narcotic or alcohol or anything else will ever take you, trust me. Because I've been to all those places. And music is the one drug that can change everything. You just got to believe in it.
Take it back to its roots.
Honestly,
really.
it's simple as that. And then slowly over time, I started to believe in myself and I thought, I can do this. And that was it. It wasn't about ego or about thinking, because ego comes from a place of fear. It's all fear-based.
Yeah, for sure.
And we buy into that. And it's so for me, if I've got a gig and anyone will tell you what I'm like before I have a big gig. I'm a nightmare. Okay. Because that self-doubting comes in. I suffer with imposter syndrome.
A lot of people do.
Really bad. I could be flying somewhere at the front of the plane, right? Not down the back by the bogs like it used to be, but at the front of the plane. And I will sit there for 12 hours if I'm going to Miami thinking they're all going to hate me when I get off this plane. They're going to hate my music. I'm going to fuck up. And that's how my head works. I'm not that enjoy the moment, look where you are.
Still now?
Yeah, it still happens
now.
But I have coping mechanisms now. I've learned, I have tools to deal with that. But you know what? It's like any toolbox. It takes you time to open the toolbox. Do you know what I mean? So I do a good 3 hours of everyone's going to hate you. And then I think, you know what? Of course they're not.
No, they're not.
They're paying for you to sit at the front of the plane. It's kind of like, but I do suffer with it. And I just have to remember the principles of what I've been taught about how to cope with the stress of that stuff, because it's not about me. I go and I do my job. I do my job to the best of my ability and I leave. I'm not the party. Do you know what I mean? And
you're there to provide the party.
I am,
really.
and I'm there to provide a service. And that's the beauty of it. I go, I leave, I'm home walking my dog while all the rest of them are still out,
Yeah.
And that's why I'm really good at what I do today, because I'm good at knowing when to leave.
And talking about being a good DJ and knowing how to read the crowd, for anyone else who's watching at home and thinking, what other tips would you be able to give them on how to be a good DJ?
Learn to count in fours. 1, 2, buckle my shoe. 3, 4, lock the door. Really simple. A lot of DJs I've lost that ability to actually mix because they use Tractor or they use Recordbox. They use so many different things and software does it for them. That's not DJing. That's not DJing. Choosing your records before you go out and putting them in an order is not DJing. You're playing tracks, that's playing records, that's playing music. DJing is to read the crowd, watch the crowd. If I see more than 3 people walk off that dance floor, maybe they're going to the bar, I'll up the game.
You clock it.
I do, because that's what my job is, to read that blue. I watch the rhythm, I feel the energy. My job is to ride off of that energy. For me, during lockdown, when we were doing live sets from my garden, we were doing them for really major brands, and it was so painful for me to do.
Really?
Because I was DJing to 2 palm trees and a yucca, And I wasn't getting the energy that I would get off of people. And then you got like the people that are there with you. One of them's reading the paper because he's so bored of the live sets. And the other one's like sitting, drinking beer in the corner, like, you know. So you're not getting that energy.
And you're thinking, what has life become?
Yeah, literally, I'm like, you know, I felt like a dad at a wedding.
Oh, no.
Literally, sometimes like a dad at the wedding.
Oh, God.
Start doing dad dancing, you know, it's awful. But, you know, because I'm not getting that energy, and my job is, you know, so if you are starting out, if you're starting out, learn your trade, learn to love music and learn the magic of music. Don't play what you're expected to play. Don't play the top 20 Beatport chart rubbish, because that's other people's rubbish. That's other people's opinions. Have your own opinions.
The original.
It really is about that, you know, and don't be scared to play something that because someone else says it's cheesy. What do they know?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You're the one doing the gig. They're probably at home, you know, watching porn. But got a really big opinion. It's true though. They're the worst ones.
So spot on.
They're always, you know, like literally. I did a set with Mixmag at the Lab, which has had hundreds of thousands of views, and it was probably one of the most nervous things I did because we did the film. We had a premiere. The film came out. And it was my truth, and I can't hide, you know, I'm really honest about stuff, but you know, the film had my mum in it, and I was really nervous about how it was going to be perceived, and I thought, oh, a couple hundred people will watch it.
No.
And suddenly it's been like 5.5 million people or so, and it just like, that week that film came out, and then they said, oh, we want you to do the Lab, and it was like, oh my God. So now I'm doing a live feed on Mixmag, you know, to all these bedroom, I'm going to call them wankers because that's what they are, sitting watching you and judging you, and all the comments, you know, but the majority of it was amazing, and people were like, you always get, oh, he can't mix, or one bloke wrote, my 8-year-old son can mix better than that, and later on that night when I was at home, I went through the comments,
savage.
No, I know, so I messaged him back saying, yeah, but is he yours?
Oh,
and left it at that.
Oh, that's amazing.
And then he was going, yeah, calling me names, and he messaged me on Instagram and everything. It really got to him.
That's amazing.
I was like, I said to him, whatever, mate.
I have no time for that.
Yeah, just leave it at that. But is he yours? Because you know, but that's it. People they fear you. So what they do is anything that they don't understand, it's like anything in life. They will try to destroy it. They pull it down because they don't understand it. And you know what? If you're starting out and you just be as creative as you can. Don't be following what everybody else is doing. I've done that and it doesn't get you anywhere. Yeah.
You are really enjoying a new lease of life at the moment. You are Vogue's resident...
In lockdown.
In lockdown. But you're Vogue's resident DJ, you're an LGBTQ activist, a leading voice of the sobriety scene, and an unlikely social media influencer.
What am I influencing?
Your Instagram account is what earned you attention from, I think, a younger audience.
Oh yeah, much so, yeah.
Yeah, it's a meme fest.
It's kind of like young sort of teenagers and then middle-aged women.
Yeah.
Like, you know, we check it. But you know, it's like today, I was in Shaftesbury Avenue and I was on my phone and this lorry went by and bibbed and all these scaffolders were like, hey! And I was like, oh yeah. And then an hour later I get a message going, that was me in the scaffolding van, how are you?
No way.
And I respond to everybody.
Yeah.
And I was talking to him, I said, nice lorry. And but you know, it's like, it's bizarre, you know, the amount of attention that you get because of your Instagram. And I could be anywhere in the world and people will come up to me and say, I love your Instagram. The other week, my boyfriend was on a flight he's a flight attendant, and they were in Brazil.
Oh, lovely.
And he was just they were boarding, all the women were boarding, and I FaceTimed him, and he was like, look at this baby. And there was this little woman with this baby. And he literally went like that, and she was like, oh my God, DJ FatTony. And I was like, oh my God, what the fuck? And David was like, we were both, he was like, I haven't set that up. And I was like,
that's so funny.
No, but it's just like, you know, and it's bizarre because people, you know what I love? I love it when people come up to you and tell you they get what you do. Because the ones that don't get it are the ones that think it's just a load of random old rubbish pictures.
It's more.
Because there's always a level of, you know, of honesty. There's, you know, I post things that some people kind of like think it's a bit near the mark sometimes. You know, yesterday I posted a meme about a woman finding a pair of women's knickers in her husband's pocket.
It's funny.
Yeah, but like this woman messaged me saying, oh, you know, today's National Women's Day, blah, 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 about abuse, and that could be, and I was like, no. I posted that because he's obviously cheating, and I know what it's like to cheat. So, you know, that's why I found the humour in it. And she kind of went off on one, and then she came back to me and was like, oh, I didn't see it from that point of view. I said, well, that's just it. You saw it how you wanted to see it.
And then you started barking,
yeah,
as opposed to going, okay, how else? Because I think at the moment, everybody can find something that they can be offended about.
You know, whether it be a parcel you're waiting to be delivered, sorry, COVID, you know, an argument in the street, COVID, everywhere, COVID, you know, and everybody just jumps on that because they want to be seen, and, you know, and the amount of, yesterday was my birthday, and the amount of messages, of positivity messages that I got, like so many, and you know, you still get the odd one person's like, you know, you think you're funny, and it's like, oh, go away. You're posting other people's content.
Oh,
no shit, it. Sherlock. Yeah. Or my favourite ones are the ones that go, you stole my picture. I'm like, oh, hang on, have I just robbed the Louvre? Do you know, this is Instagram. This is how it works. People take my pictures and send them all over the place. Yeah. That's how it works. That's how you get followers. Yeah. You know, you sitting at home with your one picture on your Twitter feed, that what year were you born in? Yeah. Do you get what I'm saying to you? The fact that people get so het up about it, it's like, that's what Instagram's about. Taking people's pictures and sharing it.
It's like, just relax.
Exactly.
Just relax.
Just enjoy the moment. Enjoy the fact that someone thinks your picture's amazing and reposts it. Yeah. Do you get what I mean? Yeah. And it's like, but you know, they love to moan, don't they? It's quite funny. But I do think that the attention that I get from it is sometimes a little bit crazy. Yeah. I could be out shopping and it'd be like people coming up wanting to take pictures, which is lovely. Yeah. And I really love it when they get it. I really do. And I just think that, you know, I think that in these dark times and these times where we've been in such trauma, it's been traumatic for so many people. And it's going to continue to be traumatic because people are losing their jobs, and it's not about the bars not being able to open or the clubs not allowed to be open. People are losing their homes. People are losing their loved ones. People are losing their sense of direction and who they are. You know, we need humour in that. We need light entertainment. We need to be lifted. We need to look for somewhere where you're going to find that humour. And so for someone to laugh at that humour. And
you're providing that humour.
Well, you know what? I do provide that humour because I work really hard at it. I don't just like, you know, I store so many pictures. I'm like a nightmare. My boyfriend's like, oh, put your phone down for at least 1 hour.
Oh, really?
And I do have an hour off a night sometimes where I put the phone down. And then, of course, when he goes to the bathroom, I'm like,
oh, and he's looking always.
Do you know what I mean? It's like I get up in the morning and my form of meditation is getting out of bed, sitting on the sofa, staring out the back window, and then pick up the phone and do an hour and a half of Instagramming.
Okay, so I want to say congratulations on your brand, Arrogant Hypocrite.
Thank you.
Founded this year. Show us.
There you go.
There we go, little plug. It's tattooed on your hand.
Yeah, I have it tattooed on.
Talk to me about that.
Well, I got Arrogant first of all. No, I actually got Hypocrite first of all, because I'm really good at telling people not to do stuff. Like, I sponsor people, I work with people, you know, that have drug problems or life skill problems, and I'll tell them, don't do this, don't have that on your phone, don't do that. And it's basically, I'm doing it all myself. And then this is the hand that I always tell people to fuck off with. So this is the arrogant hand, this is the hand that to fuck off. So that's why they got the tattoos on them. And it's really weird, when I started to do the work on myself, the two words that came up all the time were arrogant and hypocrite. So it kind of was just like bizarre. But and when we wanted to do this streetwear brand was because streetwear on the whole is really straightwear. Yeah. It's straightwear, it's like, you know, we wanted to do something that was a little bit more gender fluid, a little bit more crossover. We wanted to do something a little bit more guerrilla. The first drop's been quite explanatory around why it's called Arrogant Hypocrite with like praying hands. And what we're doing is we're using time capsule pieces like old club flyers from the 80s and 90s. And each flyer, when it's printed on the back of the hoodie, will come with a letter telling you what happened on that night.
Oh, wow.
So in the first drop, we did one with I Love Dusty, which was when I was 16, I did a campaign for Joseph, the retail shop, the clothes, dressed as Dusty Springfield. And so we did an I Love Dusty piece, which was in the face and stuff. So we took that picture. But what we're doing with each piece is just like The next one's got some pictures of me and Lee Bowery together. There's like all little time capsule pieces.
And they're limited?
Yeah, they're very limited.
And they're not restocked?
No, they're not going to be restocked.
That's cool.
They're not going to be restocked. And you know what? They're selling really well. And, you know, we were all about quality. We had a few hiccups this week with delivery. And I kind of like, you know, me and my partner in the business, Nadeem, were like freaking out because I want people to be happy. I don't want to do something that people have to wait for, or they're like, oh, we've ordered this and we're still waiting 2 weeks later. That's not what I'm about. It comes from a place of love. It's not about making money. That's why it's so limited. We're charging really a minimal amounts of money for it. You know,
Yeah.
I could have gone to Selfridges or somewhere else and got it stocked and start blah, 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 and put a higher money on it. I don't want to do that. I want to do quality stuff that people are going to love and wear and get.
And they can buy only directly from the website?
They can buy directly from the website, but it probably will go in that big store in Oxford Street at some point after Christmas, and there'll be a few other stores, yeah.
Exciting.
Yeah, it's really exciting. You know, it's like, it's not merchandise.
Yeah.
And that's what I really want to get across, that because we're not doing, you know, it's like we can do that and it's pointless. Do you get what I mean? I would want to wear that. But we're doing stuff that's just timepieces that kind of got that euphoric feel, but that are fun. So it's a bit like what I do with the humour and stuff. And, you know, and I really want to start ripping people off and start, you know, like doing the whole gorilla thing, you know what I mean? I love stealing other people's ideas and making them better. But, you know, but being blatant about it.
Yeah,
do you know
yeah,
what I mean?
for sure. No, 100%.
But, you know, it's about how you do it and it's timing.
Yeah. And I want to ask, do you see yourself as somebody now who sets goals for themselves? Are you somebody who's like, right, in 5 years, I want to be here? Because I'm assuming that you didn't do that before.
No, I'm very much about today and
Okay.
I'm very much about tomorrow.
Right.
Next week's another story.
Okay.
Do you get what I mean? I kind of know that I want to be happy, and that's my biggest goal. So whether that's today, tomorrow, or next year, or in 5 years' time, that's where I want to be.
I think that's
I always
amazing.
want to be happy.
Yeah.
I want to be happy at my own expense, nobody else's. I want to be happy and I want to be content and I want to be in the moment. And I kind of just think, you know, by saying in the moment, I mean being present. Because we can all be in the moment, but we, you know, you could all be sitting here having a conversation and I wouldn't have taken any of it in because I'm so preoccupied with what you've got in your handbag or what he's got in his pocket. Those are the old days of like, where are we going next? You know, if we all go out to a party and there's 6 of us, 4 of them will be thinking about where they're going to next.
100%.
They won't be in the moment.
For sure.
And that's kind of the world we live in with social media and all of that stuff because we're forever looking at what everybody else is doing.
Always.
And it's about taking it back to,
Take a break.
and about, don't worry about what everyone else is doing, worry about what you're doing. And you know, and I think that those are my goals. My goals are just to enjoy where I'm at, whether it be.
See where life takes you.
It really is, and you know, yeah, of course, I'm moving in a couple of weeks' time, and you know, to a new house, and it's kind of
Still
like.
in Pimlico?
Yeah, still in Pimlico. Love
Still in
Pimlico.
Pimlico.
I was
You
born
love
in.
Pimlico.
I was born in Pimlico.
Yeah, no.
I was born in Pimlico. I'm like a home in Pigeon. I've moved
Always coming back.
I moved the house I'm in now is opposite the house I was born in, and I never knew. Directly
Wow.
opposite. And my mum went, "You were born in that house," and I was like, "What?"
That's crazy.
And I know, home in Pigeon.
It's like so many things throughout your life that you've said in this interview. It's like it's meant to be,
Yeah.
you know? Yeah.
And it really is like a village, and it's just such a lovely place. But the fear of moving out of somewhere I've lived for 8 years, because I've grown. Listen, you know, I'm 55, right? But I've grown up in this house. The last 8 years, I moved to this house with relatively nothing. I moved with 2 dogs. I'd come out of a relationship. I'd lived with my friend. My friend George said, "Oh, stay at my house for a week." 5 years later, still living in his mansion in Hampstead. And you know, my dogs got older, and they couldn't make it up the big staircases. And so I was like, you know
yes.
what? It's time for me to move. We found this flat, and I moved there. And my friend who moved me in went, "When you leave this flat, you better be leaving with Louis Vuitton bags and not bin bags that I arrived in." And you know what? I've turned this house into a beautiful house, and I've grown up in it. I felt like I've really grown up in this house. So much has happened, and I've really got to know who I am again. And now I'm moving from it, and I've got that fear. You know, it's been my anchor, but the house isn't my anchor. I'm my anchor.
You are, exactly.
And I have to remember that. But it's really hard to lose that moment because I'm an addict, we don't like change. We really don't like change.
Yeah. But good for you if you're moving now.
Yeah, of course. You know, half my belongings are in storage because they can't fit in this flat. You know, so yeah, it's time. Everything happens at the right time. You know, so goals are just to be happy. Always be happy. If you're not happy, you're doing it wrong.
I think that's something that everyone can learn from, actually.
I hope so.
Yeah. Good
I
for
do.
you. And a little birdie told me that it was your birthday yesterday, and that little birdie being you 3 times in this interview.
Yeah, of course I mentioned it. It goes without saying. You know what? I'm one of these people that build the birthday up, and then when it gets to the birthday, I'm like, why are they all making such a fuss? I used to do countdowns and everything.
Well, we've decided to make a fuss for you, and we have a little gift of a little cake.
Oh, you guys! You know what?
flowers.
I didn't get. Oh, no more flowers. Do you know my house is like a graveyard of a florist.
Like someone
Thank you. You know what? I didn't get a birthday cake this year.
Oh, there you go.
Because I've been on keto and everyone was scared to give me a birthday cake. Thank you, guys.
Well, happy birthday.
Oh, I'm going to have a slice of it as well, just be annoying.
Well, we saw you running for the chocolate earlier, so we thought,
I was driven to it, I know. Yeah, it's because, I just didn't, I said to my partner last night, I didn't get a birthday cake. He went, so many people rang up and said, should we get him a cake? And I said, no.
Because we should, well, go happy.
No, but it's great. I'm really glad you did.
Oh,
but it's like, but yesterday, you know, I'm so blessed that, as I say, normally I was dreading the whole lockdown birthday. And it was probably the best birthday I've had in years because I was with my partner, I was with my dog, I was with the people that counted. All day long, the doorbell kept going and more flowers were arriving, and I was getting annoyed. I was like, oh, not more flowers.
More flowers.
Not more flowers. And we had to go out and get 5 extra vases
Oh, my goodness.
earlier, and then I had to go and get another 4 later.
Oh,
the
wow.
house. And you
It's
know,
like a
I always
florist.
give like literally, they were getting bigger and bigger, and
Oh, wow.
you know, which is a really beautiful thing. It's really
No,
you know.
for sure.
And then someone turned up with a plant, and I'm like, oh, we don't need any more plants. We've got jungle in our garden that we're taking with us. But it's kind of you know, I love flowers, but you know, it's there's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them.
And I was trying to add it all up. But this morning I was trying to add it all up in the living room. I was thinking, well, that must have been like at least. You know, that could have all gone to charity, and I thought, no, actually, no, they're in my living room, I don't care.
Sod it, better for me.
It's my birthday, they can all fuck off. No.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, no, thank you for having me.
You truly are a legend, and you have such a good, pure heart. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me, guys. Thank you.
Make sure that you follow DJ FatTony at...
Oh, DJ FatTony on Instagram. DJ_FatTony_. Just... I'm the only DJ FatTony on there.
It's not hard to find, but make sure you follow him and you will have a good laugh. And make sure that you subscribe to all of our videos and ring that bell to get notified. I'm Charlotte Day for House of Influence, and I will see you next time.
Let's talk about that bloke on your phone.